We want to welcome to the table Dr. Michael Freeman and his lovely wife, Dee Dee.
Thanks.
So good to have y'all here.
It's good to be here.
It is real good to be here.
I'm so excited to hear
Absolutely.
your story. And take us back to August, if you would, Dr. Freeman, and tell us what happened. What was that suddenly that was not a good suddenly that happened?
It certainly was not a good suddenly. Having a normal day, I thought. I finished the press conference, came home. Dee Dee happened to be in Vegas at that particular time. We're all gearing up, getting ready to go on vacation. And then this weird feeling began to come upon me. I didn't quite feel like myself. And that's when she called and said, okay, do you think you should go to the hospital? And I told her, yeah, I need to do that. Well, she knew something was real abnormal about that.
Totally.
Because I'm not a hospital kind of guy. You have chest pains, you take some kind of antacid, and you just keep it moving.
So you would normally be home, but you were out of town.
Yes.
And so when you called to check on him, what was it that alerted you?
His voice.
Okay.
Because he's so strong and always so vibrant and alert and always up.
Talk about me. Talk about me.
You know, and to hear this faint, subtle kind of, response, I knew something wasn't right. But before I left, I knew that he wasn't feeling really good. So I was calling back really to just check on him and see how's everything going. Yeah. And when I asked him, did he want to go to the doctor? And he was like, yes. I said, okay. I knew right then.
Absolutely.
And he must be really feeling bad.
And so she gave my son the I wanted to say task, to come and get me and take me to the doctors, and he's thinking mom is overreacting again.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't show up. And God is so divinely orchestrating the affairs of our lives all the time. The ministry of angels are always on point. My daughter just thinks about dropping by the house.
Well, she knew you wasn't feeling a little good, so she said, I'm going to go check on him because Mama's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she...
So that instinct that she had by way of the Holy Spirit.
I love it.
Yeah.
Caused her to be there, find me in and out of consciousness, and then decides, we got to get this guy out of here. I don't even remember
getting in the car.
All of those events leading up to that because I was going out in and out, and the doctor said it's possible because of the lack of oxygen that was getting to my brain that I would not remember a lot of things that were going on. So they got me in the car. A partner of the ministry happened to be at the health facility that urgent care. Yeah. And then they get me right in there. My oxygen level is at 22. A normal oxygen level is at 94 or above. And so they rushed me off to the hospital. My niece, who happens to be a doctor as well, she got on my case right away and began to give instructions and what we needed to do. And Dee Dee and I were laughing looking back. We were the ones who assisted her financially going through college and med school. What a seed that I've sown. And that seed that's come back to save my own life.
It was nothing I could do because I tried getting other flights to get out because I was coming back home that day, but it was going to be later that night. And I tried getting other flights to get back, and I couldn't find anything. And so I told my daughter, I said, okay, we're just going to trust God. If everything is okay, we're going to do everything like everything is okay. We're not going to change our routine. We're not going to change our flow. Come on, let's go shopping. So we went shopping, waiting for our time. He sends me a picture. He doesn't even remember.
I don't even remember.
They put an oxygen mask on him. He sends me a picture, and he says, but I'm okay. And I text him back and said, yeah, I know. And, I mean, I don't think he remembered too much of anything at that time. And I didn't get to that hospital until like 3 a.m. Wow. And by that time, they said he was oxygen hungry. Everything they did, nothing would bring his oxygen level up. And so they wanted to intubate him. And we had already talked. He didn't want to be intubated.
No.
And I'm saying, okay, but you're getting a little
weary.
You need to,
I was tired.
do this. And so we talked about it for a second.
I don't remember
and he didn't remember
word of that.
And he agreed. So it was
I
like,
don't
okay.
remember that.
That's amazing.
He does it.
Oh, my
She
goodness.
said I agreed to that. I don't remember
Well, that your spirit agreed. How about that? It saved your life, that agreement. Hey, the power of agreement will save your life. That's right. That's why I wanted to put the story out there in the very beginning, because we are not exempt from the attacks of the enemy, and we go through things the same way. And so many times we like to recover in the back.
Yeah.
Well, people need to see us recover in the front so they'll know how to have that walk of faith that we preach about all the time. And I mean, through the videos, I made sure I documented everything. And the doctors were like, are you sure you want to record this? I said, yes, because he will never believe that he was this sick, because I knew he was going to be able to see this story.
Come on.
That was a process of my faith.
Attached to it.
Yeah, from the very beginning, I knew Psalms 1:18 and 17, that he would live and not die and declare the works of the Lord. You know, so many of us, we always pick healing scriptures. I already know those the promises to me. I needed to know, okay, God, give me a specific word for a specific time. And so I got that scripture.
Rhema.
And it was Rhema for me. And so that's what I began to stand on. And I also stood on Amos 9:13 in the Message Bible. It says, God's decree. It was so, I don't know exactly how it goes, but it says things are going to happen so fast, it's going to cause your head to swell. And those are the things that I needed to hear. God began to tell me about focusing on the end, focusing on his promise and not the process. Because a lot of times we get caught up in what we're going through that we don't even make it to what we're going to. But that's our story. Those things, it was real to me, because, I mean, for years, this man has been pastoring. He's not just my husband, but he's my pastor. And so I've watched and I've listened to him teach on faith. And I've listened and I've seen the episodes of faith in our lives that had taken place prior to. So it's like, okay, let me do some recalling now.
Come on.
If you did it before, you would do it again. Because when they were all saying something totally different than what I believe, a lot of times we always want to pray that we get a Christian doctor. I don't necessarily need a Christian doctor, because I serve a God that can talk to anybody. And so, God, now I need you to drop in their spirit exactly what they need to do to touch my husband. And so those are the things that I pray for.
Wow, that is so amazing with the muscle and the nerve damage. I think you just need to stand up and twirl around one time. Go ahead. Let everybody see. All right, there you go. The mic. It's okay.
I think it's fair.
Now we got to put it back on you because it came off. When y'all see that, do you see how bad it was?
Yes.
I mean, I didn't realize that your muscles had atrophied like that, because I guess when you're laying there for weeks and you're not able to use anything, you have a lot of nerve and muscle damage.
And the enormous amount of medication that they were administering.
They gave him all kind of tests just to make sure he had, still had some movement, nerve movement, checking out his nerves and stuff.
And didn't even know that I would be in my right mind after all of the oxygen loss.
Right.
You look back at and you see the awesomeness of our God, and that he who promised is faithful.
Yes.
And I'm just so moved. You really don't see yourself. We never considered where we were while we were going through it. Wow. We always saw the end. And so when you look back at it and you see what you really had to come through, that's how Jesus himself endured the cross. He had another picture. The Bible says, for the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross. So everything he had to go through was predicated upon the picture he had at the end. So when they re-rolled this footage, it's like, God, you are magnificent.
Yeah, I love the cards that you were showing the church, because you said at that point
he couldn't move at all. Only thing he could move was his head.
And, it was a great movie with you moving your head and showing the cards. And everybody was praying at church.
Everybody's praying.
I got on the phone it was strategic. You know,
It
because
has
I
to
didn't
be.
call
You
everybody.
have to be strategic.
It had to be
Yeah.
very strategic. In the beginning, I don't think I told the church for about 2 weeks. It worked. It was good because 1 week we were supposed to be on vacation because we were getting ready to go. And then the next week we were getting ready to have a friends and family day. And so I knew they were expecting him there. That's when I sent a video to try to inform them that he was in the hospital.
And so she was all concerned that when I began to come through, and we played a lot through the whole thing. They thought that I would lose a lot of my memory and not be able to be in my right mind. So Dee Dee says, Dr. Price has been here. And I said, who? She said, Dr. Price has been here. I said, I don't know, Dr. Price. She said, Kenneth Copeland called. I said, who? Who's Kenneth Copeland? She said, you don't know who these people are? And I couldn't take it any longer.
He starts to laugh.
That's just wrong.
That's terrible.
My daughter said,
I hit him.
my daughter said, whatever you go through, it doesn't have to be stressful.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we lose because we stress out. And that adds to the demise.
Well, and the reason we stress is somehow we think that we're attached to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we're not.
Come on.
God is the one.
Jesus.
And so if we somehow feel like we have a part in it, then that's
Come
why
on.
we're stressing.
Good.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't
We
be
can't do
stressing
anything.
because we
Yes.
can't do anything without it.
There's
good
a
right there.
rest that remains for the children of God.
Yes.
He says, labor to enter into that rest. And that's our job, to totally trust God. Now I'm directly involved, and I have to build myself back to this place.
He was sitting with my daughter and he asked her, he said, are you ashamed of me? You know, because he's always been so strong and so full of faith and believing God for everybody else. And then for him to be in this position.
She was sitting there helping me with my Play-Doh exercise.
And what did she say when you asked her that question?
She said, Daddy, I'm more proud of you than I've ever been in my entire life.
Wow.
And so to be so weak and so vulnerable and I had to realize that I need help, it changed my perspective on life entirely. I'm grateful, I'm humbled to have a life, to have family. And that's why we should love one another as much as we can while we have these moments. And I try to use my time to minister to those who were right there beside me at the next table. And so God is faithful.
Before the storm.
Before the storm.
Because you're either in a storm, coming out of a storm,
or heading
into a storm. Because this
Absolutely.
is called life, and it rains on the just and the unjust. But we can be prepared and know that God is with us and that He's faithful.
Absolutely.
And you're a product of that today.
Absolutely.
Amen.
And thank you for letting us tell the story on your show.
Well, thank you for being here.